All right, welcome back, Scallywags. Here we are on Lady M for our weekly engine repower update. As you guys remember,
thanks to Lab Tech Geo, been working on her this week.
So as you might remember in our last update, we were talking about going with the 4JH57, which fit in this hole perfectly. And then after we went to the Pacific Marine Expo, we were able to speak with a lot of professionals there and get our hands all over a bunch of different engines and talk to Sam Devlin, who said that...
Because you and I both have the 110 4JH.
I love that 110.
And so the question is, on a semi-displacement, it'll never plane anyways. If we're going to buy a motor with the intent to sell, would you recommend the bigger engines? Or
I still would put the bigger engine on it.
You think go up to the...
Yeah.
What, like 80 or just go for the 110?
No, I go for the 110.
We might benefit from going with a higher horsepower engine. So we talked to Harbor Marine, who's absolutely awesome. I recommend anyone that needs any boat work done to talk to those technicians over there. They have years of experience, and they have been a huge help in our progress here. What we did is we ran some transmission calculations and found out that 4JH110 is not only compatible with the existing transmission, but also the gear ratio will work with that engine. So what we did is we uninstalled the old transmission. It's got 675 hours on it, so the thing's still young and full of life.
This week, we're trying to remove this gearbox. 675 hours. Giovanni here is going to pop it off with the motor mounts. We're going to put it back into the boat so that we can get a measurement on a bobtail 4JH. Since this will carry the horsepower and it's low hours, it doesn't really make any sense not to reuse it. We'll check the oil, of course. It's got a trolling valve even, Geo pointed out.
Welcome to the Scallywags, located in the beautiful Pacific Northwest, where Skagit Valley College has been training technicians since 1968. If you are looking for industry certification and the skills to work in maritime, this is the place to visit. Our staff will share so much knowledge and experience, you will not be disappointed. The workforce demand is very high, and all of our graduates are working around the world. If this sounds interesting to you, schedule a tour and come check us out.
All right, so here we are in the engine compartment with the mock-up for the 4JH110, and we got a few more considerations we want to talk about here. So on the forward port side of this engine is our water pump. So access to the water pump is going to be through here. We have a beautiful access panel, so it shouldn't be an issue putting new impellers in this thing. We have plenty of width coming up. This piece of plywood here is representative of the lifting hook on the top of the engine, and this thing clears our hatch, so not an issue there. Coming aft though, we have a little bit of an issue, not an untackleable issue. So previously, as you can see, the exhaust from the old BY was exiting on starboard side. The exhaust for the new 4JH110 is coming out over here on port. So what we're thinking about doing is A, we can get a new water lift muffler, or B, we can make modifications to this one here and change the inlet to it to this side. And we'll be able to run a nice silicone hose from here, wrap around, and plug right into our water lift muffler. We think with either modifying this one or coming up with a new one that fits and doesn't have to be chopped up will work one way or the other. Either way, we're technicians over here. We'll figure out how to get this thing to work. We installed it here in Lady M, and I built a mock-up for the 4JH110. I had to put a little spacer in here, as you can see, to do to account for the extra additions we're going to need between the engine and the transmission in an adapter plate. This raises the front of the engine up a bit, and it ended up being exactly 3 inches. So here's our spacers for the front of the engine. We'll have to build up the engine bed a little bit for that engine to fit in here properly.
Vertical clearance?
Vertical clearance is perfect. We're touching the insulation just a little bit.
That's what that black board was right there.
Yep. So
it fits.
4JH, it does fit. So that's the good news. The bad news is there are no 4JH57s, no 4JH110s on the entire West Coast. So we got our feelers out all over the USA looking for a 4JH110. If you know of where there might be one kicking around in a warehouse somewhere, or maybe even after a fresh removal from a boat that was decommissioned, we're in the market for it. We ran the calculations and we'd be at about 75% of our original power. So we're hoping that with the prop that we have on here and the gear ratio that's in the transmission, that we'll be able to cook this boat along 10 to 12 knots. Okay, so the original engine that came with this boat, the 4BY, was rated for 3,600 RPMs. The new 4JH110 that we're hoping to put in this hole is rated for 3,200 RPMs. So we're hoping that with that slower RPMs, we're going to be making the correct horsepower at a slower speed with the existing prop that's on here. So how we're gonna do that? We'll run the prop shop calculations and then we'll dump the boat in the water and take it for a sea trial and see how she does. So thanks for watching. We'll keep you updated.